Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is Marit here from MVRugby, and yeah, the results are in. What a game! South Africa versus Ireland. Unfortunately, South Africa not being successful this time around, um, being defeated by Ireland, 25 points to 24. Um, the drop goal of the last second was just absolutely masterfully executed. Quite a distant kick as well, but not really having a lot of environmental interference going on in the game. Both kickers had their kicking boots on and had 100% kick rate, basically, whether from conversions to converting penalties and the two drop goals at the end by Ireland. Every single kick was spot on, nailed it every single time. The Cheslin Colby obstruction right at the end. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy about that from obviously immediate family and people that I heard from. Yeah, even my wife believes that the drop goal shouldn't have been allowed. But reviewing the footage, it really wouldn't have been realistic to expect that Cheslin Colby would have made it to the Ireland fullback before he could make the drop goal. So yeah, it's not really to be expected that it is with any real possibility of realism that Cheslin Colby would have been able to defend, to tackle, to block the kick. So yeah, the ref decided to allow the drop goal to stand. Hard luck, Booker, really disappointing. And yeah, unfortunately, you can't win them all the time, as they say. It's just one of those things. It is what it is, unfortunately. Ireland played a strong game, 2 tries and 2 drop goals to basically put them 1 point ahead of the Springboks. Springboks only scoring on penalty conversions from Andre Pollard's boot. Yeah, but they did play a really strong game as well. I mean, constantly having making attack moves. Ireland's defense just this time around held. Not like last weekend, we saw Curtly Arendse burst through in the first 2 minutes of the game, scoring a try. And in the first half and the second half, Ireland did manage to score 1 try per period. Oxen Chase, man of the match, very well deserved. I believe the man played an absolutely smashing game in the first half, right up to the end where he was replaced by Stennekamp. Yeah, he made a lot of ground, made a lot of carries, performed absolutely fantastic in the scrums, winning a couple of the Irish scrums even, turnover ball for the Springboks. The Irishmen just couldn't hold up to the absolute pressure from that man, and he is an imposing figure. He's a big man, and going up against him in a scrum just isn't an easy thing to do. So definitely very well deserved man of the match for him. He did mention that South Africa did tend to kick the ball possession away quite a bit, and he is right. They would have done a lot better if they just basically, in a lot of times, kept possession of the ball. Especially towards the end of the game, it was absolutely crucial. You're playing for time at that moment. You're only like 2 points ahead, and you really don't want, when anything can happen within the last 5 minutes of the game, as we saw it did. 2 drop goals by the Irish, putting them 1 point in front of the Springboks. Not the result we wanted, but there it is. Yeah, so you always have to be mindful to play that 80 minutes, and especially when it gets to the point where you're just like, you're 2 points ahead, 3 points ahead, keep possession of the ball, because the more you keep possession of the ball, the less you give possession to the opponents. The more the opponents have the possession of the ball, the more they can attack. and the more you're on the back foot, the more you're on defense. And yes, South Africa does have a very strong defense. It did live up to the standards up to a point. RG Snyman holding up the ball for the one try attempt by the Irish from a constant phase after phase, battering the front lines of the Springboks, or the defensive lines of the Springboks rather. RG Snyman to basically do the New Zealand tactic, grabbing the player, falling back with him, so the ball is basically between him and the player. That was quite masterfully done. And that's just a bit of a interlude of what the South African defense is capable of. But yeah, kicking the ball constantly, giving possession to the opponents. If they could maybe just curb it a bit. I do know, obviously, that whenever you do give a bit of a clearance kick, and you can result in putting more pressure on the opponents. But when you have a team like Ireland that can handle a high ball as they can, you want to give them least amount of opportunities to attack, which basically means giving them least amount of ball possession. Okay, team like Ireland that is that strong, number 2 in the world, you do not want to give them too many opportunities to play the ball. But yeah, there it is. Grant Williams chasing his own kick in the second half, resulting in a tackle on the Irish, on the opponent over the touchline. Brilliantly done, masterful. These young players, or sometimes it feels to me like they've really got something to prove. Sasha Faima Komazulu and Grant Williams, Apelele Fassi, all these guys that really doesn't have a lot of caps within the Springbok team, really does have a lot to prove. Ivan Roos, constantly having to put up, the best performance forward. To be considered for, obviously, more games in the future. Ivan Roos only got back into the Springboks recently, now with this new incoming series. So yeah, they do want to play their strongest games, and with Sasha Faima Komazulu and Grant Williams, as we saw tonight, really made a stunning impression over there. Now I would like to kind of tone it down a bit. I would like to throw in a bit of criticism the ref's way. Although he did call the game pretty fair, straight through, down the middle, the one call that I do not really agree with was the body roll on Malcolm Marx. Now, the crocodile roll has been outlawed as of earlier this year by World Rugby, and obviously I would expect the Irish players, as professional as they are, they would know this. And for 2 players to engage in a body roll on Malcolm Marx, that is, I would call it a bit, suspect to be an accident. Obviously I can't prove that it was intentional, and I think you'll be very hard pressed to do so. But the number 8 player, the 8th man, coming down on Malcolm Marx's leg, similarly to what happened to Bongi Benambi in the World Cup final, and that player did get a yellow card. That was, I think, it wasn't upgraded to a red card at that stage, but it is a dangerous play. The potential injury risk to Malcolm Marx could be severe if he had to go off, I think like Bongi did within the World Cup final. It's really, doesn't, is not in the spirit of the game, let me put it that way. The players obviously know what they're doing. They are professional enough, they get paid enough to be very, well versed with the rules of the game, to know what to do, what not to do. I know sometimes it's hard, that discipline does slip a bit, but to do a double body roll on one player to clear him off the ruck, especially when it is a potential for a turnover ball, that is more leaning towards the line of foul play rather than just an accident. So I don't agree with the yellow card. I believe a red card would have been justified there. I don't know if the ref probably felt that, okay, the fact that Malcolm Marx walked away from it with no serious injury was more of a mitigating circumstance than would normally be. I don't know. I really honestly don't know what's going through the ref's mind at that point. And then the TMO coming back to inform him that it will not be upgraded to a red card. Yeah, I don't quite agree with that. It is dangerous play. Let's be honest. The potential of injury to Malcolm Marx's knee and ankle is quite severe. I mean, these kind of things could put a player out of the game for months, at least. So I do feel a more harsher punishment was justified there. Otherwise the ref and the TMO were pretty fair. Obviously, except for the little controversy with Cheslin Colby's obstruction right at the end. But you have to ask yourself, would he realistically been able to make it, either for blocking the kick or tackling the player? We don't know. It is a bit of a disappointing final result. They're lucky for the Irish. They played really well. Let's not beat around the bush. They played a fantastic game. They played a hard game. It's like they had something to prove to South Africa, that they can still carry on their victory on South African soil streak. But yeah, unfortunately, that's the way the cookie crumbles. It is what it is, and we just have to kind of live with it. Willie obviously being off with a potential concussion. Again, one would have to wonder if foul play was involved or not. If it was intentional foul play or unintentional foul play. Don't know. It's really sad when these kind of things happen, but rugby is a contact sport, and accidents is going to happen. Injuries are going to happen. You don't always want them to happen, but unfortunately they do. And especially, it's rotten luck that it happened to a player like Willie Leroux, one of the key players in the team. Someone that has, created the most try-scoring opportunities for South Africa. And that's why you kind of, considering that fact, you have to wonder, was it intentional on accident? We don't know. But a lot of times, players do target key players on the opposing team to kind of try and get them up, keep the pressure on them, and hopefully they would make mistakes. Hopefully they would not be able to push forward the results that they were looking for. But yeah, these things are tactical maneuvers. You don't always plan for injury, though. You kind of have to wonder. It is fair, all fair in love and war, as they say. But when it starts involving injury to the player, then you have to kind of, whoa, it's I don't think that should be really allowed or really dismissed as lightly as refs sometimes tend to do. The Irish players, again, fantastic strategic play. They just kept the pressure on the Springboks the whole time. It doesn't really give them much chance or much freedom, space to play, to attack. They didn't give him much room to maneuver. Cheslin Colby, you give him the ball and you give him open space and forget it. It's over. They made sure that they closed the gaps pretty rapidly. Plus, then handling that high ball, always getting successful possession off the high ball. Again, continuing their reputation for ripping balls, although there was a few times when the ball actually went forward off a rip, costing them, getting back to a scrum again, and obviously South Africa dominating in the scrums completely, with players like Bongi Mbonambi, Oxenche, Vincent Koch, Malcolm Marx coming in, and then having both locks in Eben Etzebeth and Ergis Snyman on the field together. Ibn Etzebet having a bit of a struggle with blood injury to his forehead. I think he called the EMTs back on the field, I think 3 times to bandage his head. The third time it looked like I don't know, some kind of a patch artwork going around his head with like insulation tape just wrapped in like layers around the bandage because it just constantly came off, it's just. And but to have both Ergisnem and Ibn Etzebet on the field just kind of again play testimony to how badly South Africa really wanted to win this game. For Rassie to push both those titans into the field, bringing their A game, bringing the best players almost right off the bat, and then only having the front row change with the bomb squad coming in. But unfortunately Ireland did play the better game, and there's just nothing we can do about it. We can cry about it. We can, just take to online, computer, keyboard warriors, and complain about these things all along. But at the end of the day, the end result is going to stand, and we just have to live with it and learn from it, as Siya Kolisi rightfully said, and move forward from there on. Not the result we want, but it's the result we got. The New Zealand versus England game, yes, quite an interesting game of that as well. I haven't seen it yet, but I have spoken to a few people that has given me some kind of spoilers. Not too much though. I know that New Zealand did win, but by quite a satisfying margin. Better than they did last weekend. So there's definitely improvement in their tactics for the game. But I will cover the review probably on Monday evening. I haven't seen the game yet. I probably will watch it tomorrow from the recording. And then I'll bring you guys all the latest reviews on that one on Monday. But once again, guys, it is a cold, absolutely freezing weekend here in the Western Cape, South Africa. And just everybody that shares this region with me, please keep warm, and keep bringing a couple of drinks, just to kind of get the chill off, and let's dust ourselves off, pick ourselves up. There's always next weekend. The book is squaring off again, so let's learn from that. I hope the Booker did learn from this experience, and they can go forward from there on with strength to strength. Let me put it that way. And next weekend, guys, I hope to see you all there, and peace out.